10 years of this channel. 10 years of retrospectives, wrestling movies, pay-per-views, premium live events, Raw and SmackDown reviews, NXT and Dynamite reviews, side characters, skits, music videos, interviews, set changes, theme song changes, sweatsuit changes. 10 years of doing it for the content. I don't mean to toot my own horn, but toot toot. I'm gonna rank my top 8 favorite moments in the history of Wrestling with Regret. Let's begin. Number 8, Big Hoss McGraw's Search for the Mauve. The last job I had before going full-time with YouTube was that of a commercial producer, and some of the most fun I had on that job was when I got to be really creative and out there with my ideas, but most of the clients and the sales reps I worked with would try to rein me in. Luckily, having my own channel means my commercials can be as weird as I want them to be. Thank goodness I developed a lot of side characters on this channel because a lot of them have personalities that are easy to build commercials around. Back in 2021, I kind of stumbled upon an arc for one of my favorite alter egos in Big Hoss McGraw. See, I had turned Big Hoss into this big conspiracy theorist character, but as I went along with the joke, I began to think, what if I brought closure to a one-off line Big Hoss had from a video 3 years prior?
Oh, the mauve! Oh, the mauve! Why'd you do it? Why'd you have to play a game of chicken with Bill Watts?
Ever since my XWF video, there's been an undercurrent of viewers who wanted to know who was the Mauve and how did he run afoul of the Cowboy. Only the most ardent of my followers would even have a clue what Big Hoss was talking about beforehand, since the Mauve and his fellow stablemate Greg Muttonfist were only previously mentioned once in, naturally, an unboxing video for Pro Wrestling Crate from December of 2016. God, Big Hoss has always been a shill. Anyway, Hoss gets closer to the truth and finally reunites with his long-lost comrade, only for the mystical Mauve to end up trying to sell him on something else, before achieving enlightenment and jump-cutting out of the way of a Pizza Inn punch. It felt like the natural way to end things, you know? This long-reaching story arc for one of my silliest characters is something that I couldn't have pulled off without placing it in the framework of these sponsored bits. If I can make a spot entertaining enough to keep just a few of you engaged and prevent you from skipping ahead to the next part of the video, then I consider my job to be done. Speaking of which, let's do it again. Take it away, younger me.
Thanks, older me. Wow, you sure have aged a lot in the last 10 years.
Thanks, you're really blunt.
I gotta say, the technology you folks have 25 years into the future is insane. All the different ways you can watch wrestling compared to here in 1998, I feel like a whole new world's gonna open up for me when I get older, thanks to our sponsor, Atlas VPN. A VPN, or virtual private network, is the key to unlocking the full potential of the World Wide Web. It seems to have worked for Mr. .com, Paul Ellering. Atlas keeps internet searches private, and it blocks malicious links and malware, which would be pretty helpful for me to get out of 2 jams with a family computer. It unlocks your favorite content from all over the world, so borders mean nothing to you. And did you know Atlas can even help you save money when shopping online? Just start shopping around for online subscriptions or travel. Hop from one country to another and see how much you save. Support the channel and grab the best VPN deal on the planet with Atlas VPN Premium. Just go to the link in the description to get premium for the ridiculous low price of $1.83 a month plus 3 extra months of service, all with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Act fast because the deal won't last long. Thanks for listening, everyone. Now I'm gonna go back to my bedroom and watch Fully Loaded 98 on a loop all day. Please don't ask why.
Number 7, the music videos. These were a big part of the early days of my channel. As someone who's been a near lifetime fan of Weird Al Yankovic, I got a lot of enjoyment out of making these song parodies and music videos.
Everybody throw up.
It all began with my parody of Robin Thicke's summer hit Blurred Lines, a song and music video that has aged about as rapidly as a jar of mayonnaise on a hot summer's day. And for the next few years, I wrote, sang, and produced songs poking fun at all things wrestling, from the stars to the fans and those in between.
You got that white face paint with black round your eyes. You're rocking that black trench coat of generous size.
Would I make more music videos in the future? Maybe. I've had a few ideas in my head and even a few fully written songs that I never actually bothered to record for a variety of reasons. If the stars were to align and we were able to organize and produce something really nice, I might consider it. But until then, as cheesy or dated as some of them may seem now, I'll always love the times I've been able to express myself musically about this crazy business. Number 6, the Internet Darlings. I don't envy those who try to run events on WrestleMania weekend. Unless you live in the host city or have huge connections there, you're usually running blinds trying to coordinate everything from afar. Then of course you're competing with like 100 other things happening that same day. I tried doing a film screening last year in Dallas, for example, and it absolutely flopped, but at least I had confidence that it could succeed based on how the last show I ran did. Yes, the Internet Darlings. It was Mania Weekend in Orlando, 2017. Myself and fellow wrestling YouTubers Steven Larson, Adam Blampier, Matthew, Grimm, JD from New York, and Joe Cronin spent 2 hours in a hot room at the Embassy Suites and put on a show for more than 220 rabid fans, giving our thoughts on the business, answering fan questions, and performing skits. On a show during a big wrestling weekend that featured no actual wrestling aside from Grimm's elbow drop, I'm proud to say we damn near packed the joint and had a fantastic time. As a first-time Mania Weekend showrunner, the prep work involved for the Internet Darlings was some of the most stressful stuff in my entire career, but the end result and seeing the look of satisfaction and enjoyment on the faces of those who attended made the whole thing insanely rewarding for me. But the Internet Darlings show is but a small part of a larger channel staple. Number 5, the WrestleMania Weekends. I've been lucky to have attended 7 of the last 9 WrestleManias, the obvious exceptions being 36 and 37. And though the shows themselves have varied widely in quality, what I really enjoy about going every year is all the stuff around the Showcase of the Immortals. Indie shows, WrestleCon, the Hall of Fame, catching up with old wrestling colleagues and meeting new ones, chatting with fans, sightseeing, eating amazing food, witnessing history. WrestleMania weekend has become my annual pilgrimage, and I have loved every minute of it. It's the time of year where I get to truly be in my element, amongst my people. Everyone's just happy to be there, and the energy is infectious. My one critique is there's a bit too much stuff going on to cram into a single weekend, and for many fans and performers, some sacrifices need to be made. But the hustle and bustle can make the whole thing even more exciting sometimes. I've even been lucky enough to find bookings for the last few Mania trips, which, considering just how many wrestlers and other performers descend upon the host city every year, is not an easy feat. Speaking of which, never forget folks, I pinned Simon Miller. Before the channel took off, I never expected that I would get to travel to all these different cities and be part of the mania that is WrestleMania weekend. But now it's my biggest and most rewarding work trip of the year. Number 4, the Ultimate Deathmatch Trilogy. I thought that I had seen bad wrestling cinema with just another romantic wrestling comedy and slammed. But then I watched these movies. I was aware of the series on some level for years, since, I was in one of them, but I never realized just how awful the whole trilogy was until I actually came around to reviewing them beginning in 2020, because that year was already going so well. This trilogy is the result of what happens when perfectly good money is placed in incapable hands, a confusing mess of crime drama tropes mixed in with local indie flavor, featuring plenty of respectable wrestlers and vaunted veterans doing their best with the material they're given. A trilogy with so many plot holes, production errors, and pointless conversations. To me, it's on the same level as The Room, multiplied by 3. Perfect for a snarky critic such as myself. I don't think I'll ever get as much joy from reading the comments section as I did when part 3 dropped and the giant twist that I was actually in the movie was revealed. Getting to look at these movies and get so much insight from people who were there made this a very fun project for me. Fun fact, my original idea for how that whole gag with the reveal was going to go was that I'd have a flashback or some kind of vision where I was teleported back into the original building where UDM3 was filmed, and we'd get a ring in there and bring back some of the wrestlers who were involved in that movie. But you know what? The venue, when I contacted them, didn't seem available or interested, sadly. Though stuff like this is ripe for satirizing, there's a part of me that hopes I never encounter a series of films as bad as this one again, or that if I do, I don't get harassed by the director about it and threatened with a lawsuit, which actually happened in this case, by the way. Number 3, Cornet gets it wrong. In the early days of my channel, I really enjoyed making short-form content, like the aforementioned music videos and the occasional comedic skit. This one I made in 2015 is hands down my most successful.
John Cena will go down as one of the most universally beloved wrestlers of all time, provided he never ever loses.
I've been compared to the Louisville Slugger my entire managing and YouTube career, since we're both well-spoken, pasty white guys with brown hair, glasses, questionable fashion sense, and an insatiable love of cheeseburgers. That being said, I suppose it was fate that those parallels would come full circle in this video. The response to Cornet Gets It Wrong was unlike anything that I had produced up to that point. The fact that it got endorsements from not only the Young Bucks and Colt Cabana, but also Jim Cornette himself, was a moment in my career that I would never forget. See, like I mentioned in my recent video where I went back to watch my very first episode, this was around the time where I considered stopping the channel and just calling it good. But seeing that feedback, realizing that those guys were watching me and thinking of who else might be out there doing the same, it made me realize that maybe I was onto something. Fast forward to the point where I actually began to talk with Jim and get to meet him in Louisville and work with him and make videos with him. It was a very cool experience and a massive milestone for my channel. Yeah, things are different now between us, but I won't deny that that first video came at a pretty important time in the channel's run that helped drastically change my life path. Number 2, reaching 100,000 subscribers. When you get down to it, the ultimate goal of any YouTuber is just to be seen. I would argue that YouTube is kind of like low-risk Hollywood in that anyone can make it if they're skilled and unique and lucky enough, but they don't have to move anywhere to do it. There are more than 100 million YouTube channels out there, and less than 1% of that have more than 100,000 subscribers. I always hoped that one day Wrestling With Regret would gain an audience, just maybe not that big, so that it did will always shock me. Hitting that milestone and getting that sweet silver plaque less than 3 years into my career was, to me, the ultimate validation, and the channel has only grown since then. The viewers and subscribers are the lifeblood of the channel, and I don't take that fact for granted. I don't know if I'll ever hit 1 million, but to have even come this far is amazing in and of itself. And my number 1 favorite moment in the history of this channel is Heroes of Wrestling. In my 10 years of running Wrestling With Regret, there is a small percentage of videos that I was so excited and confident to share with everyone that I would promote it weeks in advance to let everyone know. This video here is one of them. Heroes of Wrestling had everything a YouTube critic like me could have wanted back then. An infamous topic in that cursed 1999 pay-per-view, a crossover colleague in Adam Blampier, Captain Lou Albano, and a surprise guest at the end in Father James Mitchell. With this much going on, I would argue this is one of my very first super episodes. I know this is the last entry, so it means I should talk the most about it, but honestly, I don't know much else to say, other than I'm amazed I was able to execute this multi-pronged project and that it's largely held up. From a technical standpoint, this video is far from perfect. There's a lot of things I would do differently now. We got a few things wrong in there. We even called Tommy Rogers Tommy Rich at one point, but I don't care. Until I am proven otherwise, I will consider this review one of my all-time favorites and one of my proudest moments as a creator in this, a decade of regret. Thank you for being part of my journey for the last 10 years. Thank you to my wife, my children, my team, my colleagues, my fans, and everyone in my wonderful wrestling family for your support over the years. Can't wait to see what the future holds for us. But until then, I'm Brian Zane, and I'll see you next time.